question that you would get on MathXL?
So this is our trinomial that cannot be factored. We're drawing this big X using a strategy called split the middle, and we're drawing a T-chart, still using our T-chart, same as before, only this time, instead of just writing C here like we have done, we're actually going to write A times C. So you could say every single time we've been writing A times C since A has always been 1. But now that we have a value other than 1, we need to multiply it. So what's 7 times negative 15?
What?
So we're doing A times C, 7 times negative 15.
Negative 105.
Good, negative 105.
I did it in my head.
Wait, why did we change it to A times C? Why did we do that?
Because
Is there a
if you
reason
think
why?
about it, on these previous questions, although we just wrote C, we could have said A times C since A was always 1.
Yeah.
And 1 times negative 15 is negative 15.
Okay, so we just did that just to do that?
We just kind of made it simpler to start.
Okay.
But now we're on level 3.
Okay. Now it's
B still goes over here, 16. And we're still looking for two numbers that multiply together to get negative 105 and add together to get 16. So you can try some different things. What comes to mind when you look at 105 that you know is a factor? 5. So I would try dividing by 5.
right?
Yep.
Probably.
Negative 21.
Okay. So 5 times negative 21, and that adds up to negative 16, which is so close. We just need to put in, we just need to switch.
Maybe 5.
Yes. So there it is. Then we move to our x, and in the x, the top, we write 7x squared. That's our first term.
Wait. I
In-
didn't know we were using the X for something.
In the bottom, we write the negative 15. And then on the two sides, we're going to write a negative 5x and a 21x. See, we split those two. We're going to use these two values to actually split this middle term.
Wait.
So we rewrite this, 7x squared minus 5x plus 21x minus 15. We can no longer just fill in x's here like we have in the previous questions, because x times x is never going to get us 7x squared. Okay, so this is a good method for us to figure out what actually does go in those spots.
Oh, damn.
So the next step, we're going to look at this as two parts. We're going to factor by grouping. This next step is called factor by grouping. Factor by grouping.
I'm so lost.
So with these first two terms, we look for something they have in common. These two just have x in common. So we factor out the x, leaving us with 7x minus 5. And these next two terms, they have 3 in common, leaving us with 7x minus 5. And here we have a common term. The 7x minus 5 is what they both have in common. So we can factor that whole thing out into what will make up that first set of parentheses.
Wait, how did you factor?
Since that's what they both had in common, I just put that out front.
No, I mean for the top. Like.
How did I factor this?
Yeah, how'd you do that?
So if I divide 21x by 3, I get 7x. If I divide 15 by 3, I get 5.
So you just have to find a common factor.
Yes, you got to
Each
find
with
that
separate ones?
Mhm.
Okay.
2 times. Then in that next set of parentheses, we'll put our leftovers. the x plus 3.
Nice.
That is so much.
That's it. That's it. You got this. Number 2.
Oh, it?
Can we just do one?
Yeah,
we-
please,
can we
can we just
for
leave
real?
it at
We need
one?
practice.
So can you, we're gonna do one more. 3x squared plus 11x minus 42.
Can't see the picture.
It gets faster as we go. We'll draw our x, and we'll draw our t. In the t, we multiply the 3 and the negative 42. And the b value goes on the right-hand side. And then we look for factors. When you're not sure, start where you know. Like, this is even, so I'm going to start by dividing it by 2. So negative 2 times 63, that's going to be 61. Pretty far away. I could bump up and try 3. Negative 3 times 42, well, that's going to be 39. That's not it. But we're getting way closer. 4 doesn't work, 5 doesn't work, but 6 works. Negative 6 times 21. That adds up to 15. Really close.
7.
Negative 7 times 20, or times 18. There we go. That's it. But notice how I kind of kept these in order rather than jumping around. I only had to try 4 times. So it helps to write them down and to stay in order. And at the top goes,
3x.
3x
good, and the bottom,
is 11.
Negative 42.
negative 42. And on the sides, that's where we're splitting the 11x. Good. Negative 7x and 18x.
So for the top, it has to be the A, and
Uh-huh.
the bottom, it has to be the C.
Yep. And then we just split it up. 3x squared, the middle is now minus 7x plus 18x. Two groups.
Oh. I missed a lot.
They both have X in common for the first one.
Good.
And the other one, they both have 2.
They both have 2 in common. Don't write this down, but I will show you what happens. Let's say I guess, or I find a common factor, but it's not the greatest common factor. Like I said, don't write this down. 2 is a common factor, but notice what happens. These two are not the same. They need to be the same.
So it'll be 3.
I also have a 3 in there, right? Do you see how those also have 3? But they also had a 2, so 2 times 3 is 6. Their greatest common factor is actually 6. So let's write 6 out front. 18x divided by 6 is 3x. 42 divided by 6 is a minus 7. And there you see, we have that common factor of 3x minus 7 again. And the leftovers go in the next set of parentheses.
Wait, where did the X plus 6 come from?